Communications Director for Congressman Gregory Meeks. And if you're not from the 6th Congressional District, we welcome you. How many of you are not from the Queens area? We're so welcome you to be here. It's a great opportunity. We're happy to have you in our home. So, Congressman Meeks, there are a few of you who were in the meeting last time, and I'm going to ask you to wrap up your conversation. Thank you. That's okay. So anyone with cell phones, if you can put it on vibrate. That's okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So for many of you who are looking for job opportunities, it's been a difficult road. So today, Congressman Meeks wanted to make things a little easier for you. He decided what can I do, especially in this district, who suffered high amounts of unemployment, as everywhere else. So he decided, why don't I bring the federal job agencies to the district? This is the first time it's happened in the 12 years since he's been in office, and probably a little bit beyond. So you're part of a new trend that we have here. This isn't the first of his job fairs. Well, this is the first of his job fairs to this year, but he's having a second one on June 28th, targeting one of our largest employers in the district, JFK Airport Port Authority. So if you aren't interested in a job within that industry, we ask you to please share the information with your friends and family, because we welcome helping them get a job as well. And so what Lainey Bennett of Millennium Personnel and her fine assistant Alex, what's their last name again? Chappelle? They're going to work with you today to see how you can take all of what you do. Some of you work so hard in church, you're in the PTA, you're in civic organizations, you work with sororities and other organizations, or you just may be talented in your hobby. Those are all amazing assets that you can bring to an employer. So Lainey Bennett, who has run Millennium Personnel, which is based out of New York, along with her mom for the last 15 years, she is one of the key experts for job seekers. She's been seen on Fox News Channel and tons of other media outlets. And the congressman asked her to kindly come and share with my constituents and beyond how to possibly take all of their great skill sets and make it work for them. So I'd like to introduce to you Lainey Bennett.
Okay, so everybody asks me, what are transferable skills? Exactly, what does that mean? Transferable skills, as Candace said, could be skills that you acquired in another area of your life. It doesn't have to be the business world. It could be your personal life, your church, your community, your volunteer activities, and taking those skills that you learned there and making them transferable to a new job. Now, your challenge in this aspect is to try to take the skills that you have, the transferable skills, and to make them applicable to your new employer and make it something interesting that's going to apply. Like, for example, time management skills. If you are a stay-at-home mom, you must have excellent time management skills. Leadership abilities. If you organize a committee at your church or your community center, you're able to organize things well. Did you do event planning? Did you plan special events for people? Did you do a birthday party? What they call it, quinceañeras. If you planned a party like that, you did your special events, you know all about event planning. And those are skills that might be applicable to a new job. For example, let's say you're working for an event planning company. You want to take the skills that you acquired, in your personal life and be able to use them to get yourself a new position. People might have come right out of college. There's a lot of transferable skills that you can have as a student. Many resumes and cover letters and on interviews, that's really what we should try to stress. We want to try to stress in our resumes our transferable skills, and interviews and cover letters. People often overlook cover letters because they say, well, I don't know what to put in there. I'm just going to put a line that says, here's my resume to apply for this job. Well, you have to say why you're qualified for that job. What makes you qualified? And what makes you qualified are these transferable skills that you have. So in your cover letter, that's basically where you want to try to take as many transferable skills as you can and make them applicable. Now, people are saying, give me an example. For example, a receptionist came in to me and she wanted to switch. and she wanted to be in marketing. So she says, I don't know what to do. All I've done is I've scheduled meetings and I've scheduled appointments. Well, in order to do that, she had to interact with people and use interpersonal skills. So as a receptionist, what she would want to say is that she interacted with people. She used a variety of intercommunication skills, and she takes those skills and all of a sudden they become transferable to somebody who's hiring for a marketing job or a sales job. A young lady came in and she was a waitress and she wanted to go into marketing. And she said, how in the world can I take my skills as a waitress? All I did was, I busted tables, I took the orders, I'm not sales, I'm not marketing. That's not true. She acted as a sales rep for the restaurant. She promoted add-on items, and why did she do that? To achieve an increase in revenue. So all of a sudden now she's in marketing. She built a loyal following of clientele. Certain clients would say, I only want to sit in your section. That's marketing, that's sales, that's something that she can take on her resume as a waitress, and she can apply to a marketing or a sales position that she chooses. The 5 most mentioned skills by hiring managers. When they did a survey and they said to hiring managers, what are the 5 most important traits that you look for, the most transferable skills? Number 1, communication. They want somebody who is a good communicator in oral or written communication. If you're not a good communicator, you're not going to make a good employee. Teamwork. Somebody who gets along with their peers and has good interpersonal skills. Nobody likes somebody who comes in and rocks the boat. Leadership skills. Everybody likes somebody who steps up to the plate every once in a while and shows leadership. Doesn't mean you have to take over the company. Doesn't mean you're bossing everybody else around. That's not what leadership is. Leadership is being able to take on a project and delegate responsibilities. That's how people become leaders, because they're able to take on the responsibility and delegate it to people based on the results that they want to get. Also, work ethic traits like drive, stamina, motivation, diligence. Those are all traits that employers look for in cover letters and on resumes. And the last is logic. They want to see that you're logical, that you're intelligent. How many people have heard, oh, so-and-so is a smart boy, but he doesn't have any common sense? We all say that. We all know somebody like that. Smart, book smart, you can quote it. They want somebody who is logical and common sense oriented and understands that, penny wise and dollar foolish doesn't make it at the end of the day. So what you want to do is these are the 5 most important things that employers look for, and you want to try to find your transferable skills and incorporate that into both your cover letter and the section of your resume that highlights, like for example, we were talking a little bit about a functional resume, and that should be on your functional resume in your skills and your notable achievement section, right? Good. Okay, now I'm a student and I have no work experience. These people come in all the time, they're looking for jobs, they don't know what to do. Well, you're going to make your classroom skills transferable to the work world. And the way that you do that, for example, as a college student, you had to meet deadlines. If you didn't meet deadlines and you didn't get your projects handed in on time, you would have failed out of college. So obviously, you have the ability to meet deadlines. Also, as a college student, you handled multiple projects. They didn't just give you one class and tell you, take your time with that, don't rush, don't hurt yourself, take your time. No, you had to multitask and you had to do a lot of things at one time. You had to be, somebody who's able to juggle a lot of projects and take on that responsibility. Also, you had to achieve goals as a college student. Every college student has to achieve goals. What do we mean by that? Well, they have to get good grades. If you don't pass your classes, you're not going to, you have a goal to get a certain grade in that class. If you don't pass, you flunk out of college. Also, every college student has the ability to adapt. Because as a college student, you're coming away from home for the first time, you're interacting with new people, so you really have to be extremely adaptable. So as a college student making the transition into the work world, that would be a great example of how you can fit into an office. You can take that ability to adapt, and you can use that to the benefit of your employer. Also, writing skills. Every college student has to know how to write. You have to write papers, essays, be able to outline projects, things like that. So that writing skill may be of help to your employer, and you want to highlight that on your resume. Also, who more than a college student does research? College students do so much research. They do research on the internet. They go to the library. They look up information in reference books. So that research ability might be a benefit to your employer if you work in a marketing firm, if you work it could be anything. Maybe you want to research what the employer's competitors are doing, and you want somebody who's going to be able to go on the internet and find that information out for him. So that is definitely a transferable skill, because as a college student, you have to do a lot of research. So to be able to bring that to an employer is something really, really good. An example of transferable skills, for example, let's just say, just try to give you an example of what you might say in your cover letter. For example, if you are a nanny or a babysitter looking to become a management trainee, you can say, as a former caregiver to 3 youngsters, I understand good time management. Also, leadership, communication, and organizational skills are things that I would contribute to you as a management trainee. So here is a young lady who, and these are quotes from somebody's cover letter. So what she's doing is she's saying, I was a nanny and caregiver, and these are skills that I use, but I believe they would also be an asset to you as I became your management trainee. Another example in a cover letter is a young lady who was a fitness instructor who wanted to go into the healthcare industry and take an entry-level healthcare position. So what she said in her cover letter is, I have always been committed to good health as a fitness instructor. And further, I have developed an excellent sense of communication and good client service abilities, because those are things that would apply to somebody in an entry-level healthcare field. You want to be able to be good with the patients, you want to emphasize good health, and these are things that she brings from her past job as a fitness instructor, and she can offer to her new employer in a healthcare field. The last example that I have for you guys is somebody who is a retail associate, and he wanted to go into a teaching profession. So what he said in his cover letter was he handled customers' needs in a patient and attentive manner as a retail associate, and therefore he learned to be a diplomatic problem solver, and he thinks that would make him an effective teacher. So that's what he said in his cover letter. But obviously, we all know retail people, you have to be patient, you have to be diplomatic, you have to solve a lot of problems. So those are traits that a teacher could really benefit from. Something else that I wanted to talk to you guys about is one of the people in the last seminar brought up the fact that she had been out of work for a while. And what would she fill up her resume with? What would she put in that block? And a really good thing to put, as I said, is a volunteer situation, but if you don't want to volunteer, even more important could be an internship. And people say, I'm too old to be, I'm not a recent college graduate, I can't be. The average age of an intern in New York City has shifted from 26 to 38. 38 is the age of the average intern now in New York City. Why? People want to change their careers, and they want, now's a great time to do it. I'm out of work anyway. I might as well take an internship in a new field that I like to try. So, as an intern, you can learn about a new industry, you can see if it's right for you, and after the internship's over, you can decide whether or not you want to take a position in that field. Also, it gives you something to put on your resume, and also an internship gives you the opportunity to network in that particular field or that particular industry. If you're sitting home on your couch or on the computer all day sending out your resume, you're not really networking with anybody. But if you are out at an internship, you're going to meet people, you're going to network with people, you're going to walk around the company and hand out mail and say, hi, my name is so-and-so, or what do you do here? And you're going to get a feel for the company, and you're going to learn more about the people that work there, and hopefully maybe one of those people will have a lead for you or have some information. Okay. Rule number 1, always turn off your cell phone. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is internship, and this is Alex, and Alex is a former intern of mine, and Alex is going to talk to you a little bit. Alex, why did you want to become an intern? What made you, did you set out wanting to become an intern?
No, I didn't. Like all of you, I'm sure I set out, of course, wanting to get hired and start my career and start getting some experience.
Okay. So did everybody hear what Alex said? No. Okay.
No, sorry, was I not allowed?
Okay, so Alex walked into my office for a position as an administrative assistant. He really didn't have a lot of experience, but I saw something in him. I saw his motivation, I saw his passion, I saw his drive, and I knew that he would make a great intern, and I knew that I could help him in terms of getting his career on the right track. So what I did was I took him in for 3 months, and I made sure that I mentored him and I helped him. Well, you can tell him. So what did you think? When you came into Millennium Personnel, when I offered you an internship, what did you think?
Well, at first I wasn't sure because I was thinking...
Talk over here, speak up.
I'm sorry.
Is the microphone on? Yes, go ahead. So what were you thinking?
When I first, does it work? Well, when I first, when I first came in, I wanted experience. I wanted to get a lot of skills that would eventually, hopefully, turn into a job. And I was a little unsure, but after doing it for a week, it was clear I was getting a lot of experience. I was doing writing press releases, writing blogs, doing things for social networks that would reach out, help the company, and it would help me because I was learning. And hopefully, in my next position, it would turn into it would help me gain those skills there, so I can use it in my next position.
And without further ado, I think Candace is coming down to introduce our fine congressman. Thank you all.
Sorry, we didn't want to interrupt in the middle. So we wanted Congressman Gregory Meeks to give you guys a greeting and chat with you for a few moments. So I'd like to introduce to you Congressman Gregory Meeks. He sits on Foreign Services, senior member of Financial Services, and a great leader of the 6th Congressional District.
Thank you, and I'm glad to see all of you in one aspect, and I'm not happy to see all of you in the other aspect. You know, we are, in the United States of America, going through probably the worst economic times of our country's history since the Great Depression. And when you think about what is taking place in America, and the unemployment rate being as high as it is, and we know that in New York and in districts like mine and throughout other places in the city, when they say the unemployment rate is 9.7, you know, really it's much, much, much higher than that.
Yes.
And so what we are wanting to do, and we see that there is movement in jobs. Things are moving. You know, there used to be a time where we had the oceans that would just surround us and everything else would just look at the United States of America, and a lot of other places were not in part really of the movement economically. Well, today we live in the age of globalization, and that means that many other countries that were not involved in the economics of the world are now involved. Many more countries were undeveloped, are now developing. And businesses are moving all over the place, and there's different types of businesses. And so therefore, it puts pressure on jobs, job skills, and where we go in the future. And so this seminar, and I want to thank you so very much, and I know you've been You've been at this for over 15 years already, because that's what has to happen. You have to be creative. I mean, once upon a time, the United States' main economy, a main part of its economy, was agriculture. And when we shifted from agriculture to industrial, there was a big shift. In fact, that's why my parents migrated from the south to the north, because agriculture no longer was the big product, so they had to reinvent themselves and come north to do industry. And now we're caught in where we are no longer, we're moving and have moved somewhat from some of complete industrial nation to where the most new jobs that are being created actually are in the services. And then with the financial crises that we have in New York, where a lot of jobs we lost and others that were affiliated to financial services. So we've got to reinvent ourselves with the skills that we've already had, and sometimes we just don't think about the skills that we've had in our ordinary life and how we can then represent that to an employer so that we can make a difference, and that's what this is really all about. What you exhibit, though, is something that we say every day, that people want to work. You create the jobs, we have the skills and the talent of the individuals who will take the jobs. And that's why, as we speak, the president was just talking about signing a bill where those individuals who would hire people, they can get a tax credit. And so what this is about, and this is not going to be the only time that we do this, We're going to be focused on making sure that we're bringing people out who are willing to interview, who are looking to hire, whether it's domestically, whether they ship abroad, whether they bring, export or import, because we're looking to create opportunities. And we want to make sure that we help you get the jobs that are being created. That's really what this is all about. So we're going to follow this up, for example. One of the biggest assets that I have in the district that I represent is Kennedy Airport also. So some of you may see skills here very shortly, right after. We'll be doing another job fair at Kennedy Airport itself for all of the jobs that are being created or that are there and available for people to be interviewed. So stay tuned for that. There may be some flyers. We're trying to print them out. Jason, did we set that date yet?
June 28th.
June 28th. We'll be at John F. Kennedy Airport. So there may be flyers outside. Listen out for that, because we're going to make sure we do this. But I'm going to stop here. I just wanted to stop by to say hello to you and tell you to keep holding on. We talked about dressing for success. All of y'all are dressed for success today. And we want to make sure that we work hard. We will continue to work with you. We'll be following up to make sure that we try to employ as many people as we can and do what we can to make sure that we reinvent ourselves when we have to. It's a different, as I said, different workforce, different kind of jobs now that are being created. We just got to let folks know that we're ready to take them, and I will be one that will be willing to fight with you to try to make sure that we bring them in and start interviewing and hiring people. So thank you. God bless you. Good luck to you. Who was up? I'm sorry. I didn't even want to interrupt. So let y'all do your thing. All right now.
What we want to do is just simply to help people. We hope that some people will be able to find a job so that they can continue to take care of their families and pay their mortgage or their rent. So the first and foremost is helping folks find a job. Secondly, there's some people who may need to reinvent themselves. They may have had one particular type of job skill, though that job no longer exists, and as a result they need to reinvent themselves. So we wanted to make sure we had workshops so that individual would have the ability to rearm themselves with what it takes to enter the job market. Some may need help with reference to a resume, and so we've got some shops set up so that people can get help with how to write their resume. Some are looking to re-enter the job market. They may be 50-something or older. We want them to know that there's opportunities for them. And some may just be college grads, going into the workforce for the first time. So we want to try to make sure that we go across the board to help as many people as we possibly can. We're trying to maximize what we think is our natural assets in the area. For me, the first thing is the number of federal agencies there in the area. But the largest employer in my district, in the 6th Congressional District, is the airport. And so the next stop is JFK Airport and all of the jobs that should be and could be utilized by people that live in this community. So we're going to JFK Airport. We're going to bring in the airlines. We're going to bring in the shipping, the export, import industries. We're going to bring in the trucking industry about the jobs that are created there and have people to come in to be interviewed, so that might be an opportunity for somebody else to be employed. That's why we've got certain seminars set up for specifically individuals that age, so that they can reinvent themselves. I think that that's what's happening now. You have more people who had retired, who thought that they had enough set aside for retirement, and now realize that they're short, so they've got to go back to the industry. Well, there are some employers that need that kind of expertise, that need that kind of experience. They just need to polish up on some of their on some of the tools to get back into the workforce. That's what we want to do here. We want to help them so that polish up their tools. We want to also be able to introduce them to the employers that are looking for that kind of mature employee. I mean, when you look at, we are now suffering probably in the worst economy the United States has seen since the Great Depression. And when people talk about the national unemployment rate is 9.7, I know in my district it's got to be closer to 15 to 20%. And when I go around this district, walking around just talking to people, and they're saying, "Congressman, can you help me find a job?" That's because I want to work. Can you help me find a job? So to me, that is the number one issue that we've got to rectify. And so I hope, that we can do this all over the areas of the city and the state of New York. I hope that we are able to, bring people back to to work and reduce the unemployment rate so that we can show that families, we talk about home ownership here in southeastern Queens, for example. Two things. One, we were #1 in the city of New York in home foreclosures, and #1 in the nation in fraudulent mortgages. We've got to reverse that. The best way to reverse that is to help many of those individuals get a job who lost their job.
I feel like a lot of these community organizations and events are really important, especially for the young people. It's really a big crisis going on in America today as far as young people, retirees, people trying to get back into the workforce to find a job. And a job fair like this, I think it's very beneficial to the people and to be that bridge for the young people to say, you know what, there's a lot of things going on out here. Get up out your bed, get up out of your seat and come over here and really get involved and encourage them that there is hope. You can get a job, you can meet people. It may not happen on the first job fair, it may not happen on the second, or maybe happen on the third. And it's great people you can meet, great opportunities.
Well, that's what it is, and that's why I appreciate you so much and what you do on Hot 97, because it's that kind of message that goes out that really resonates. Sometimes young people have to hear things from young people, and then that gives them the inspiration and the courage to go out there and do it for themselves. When they see that you can do something, with me, I'm a different generation, say, oh, times are different. But when they see a successful person like you, and that you can do it, they grow up and say, oh, I want to be like her, and give them the inspiration, and then they will come out to a job fair like this, and they will then meet somebody that may be able to open a door for them to make it so that they have a better life. And that's what this is really all about.
And it's so funny that you mentioned that, because today I met an intern who was at the job fair, that she heard everything that was going on, and she felt like, okay, maybe this one wasn't really for me, because it felt like it was for a lot of older people. But then she met me, and she met a lot of younger people. She was like, hey, you know what? She stood around for a little bit longer. She met some more people. She met me. She's going to be interning for me, and you need people, and especially if you just give it a chance. Wait a little longer. Don't step in and then step out. Because at first she came in and she was like, okay, there's a lot of older folks here. Everybody needs a job. She stood a little bit longer. She connected. She networked. That's the key. Speak to people. Shake some hands. And you'll meet people. You understand that you're not alone. Everybody's going through this. So
it's about getting the door open. Yeah. And you can only get the door open if you talk, folks. So we thank you for being the messenger that you are.
Thank you. Thank you for putting this event together. It's awesome.